Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunday Wire. Thank you for joining us today. This is a live broadcast on alternatecurrentradio.com together with 21stcenturywire.com for today's Sunday Wire. It is May the 31st, 2026. Today on the Sunday Wire, we're examining a proposal buried deep inside the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act that could fundamentally alter the relationship between the United States and Israel. Now, critics warned that Washington is moving beyond cooperation and towards integration. Supporters, if you can find any outside of Capitol Hill, call it strategic necessity. Either way, many Americans have never heard of it. The question is, and this is an important question, at what point does an alliance stop being an alliance and start becoming an integration or a consolidation? For decades, Americans have been told that strategic partnerships are necessary. Military cooperation with allies keeps the world stable, and that shared security interests require ever closer coordination between nations. But there's a line between cooperation and integration, and that line seems to now be coming into focus. So we've got the 2027 NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, starting to rear its head. Information coming out about next year's NDAA. And buried in the framework of this next year's NDAA is language that appears to move the United States and Israel toward a level of military and technological integration unlike anything previously discussed in public. The proposal calls for synchronization of research, development, testing, evaluation, industrial cooperation, data sharing, and emerging military technologies ranging from artificial intelligence and cyber operations to autonomous systems and biotechnology. So, is that not the whole kit and caboodle of the military industrial complex? Is anything left out from those bumper sticker labels there? It's the whole thing, man. It is the entire military industrial complex. All of it can be wrapped up into those words. Regardless of where you stand politically, regardless of your views on Israel, Iran, Gaza, or the wider Middle East, there's a larger question here. Who decides when America goes to war? Who determines America's strategic interests? Who controls America's military future? Because historically, the American military was intended to answer to the American people through their elected representatives. Does anybody remember this? I know some of you are too young to remember this, and some of us have to reach real far back into the memory for a time when it at least felt that way. But, it was not designed to become part of a permanent transnational security architecture whose priorities may not always align with those of ordinary sandwich eating Americans. Many Americans have spent the last 20 years watching endless wars, mounting debt, watching surveillance expand, and this increasingly powerful military industrial complex, this beast, this monster, this monster of many heads, this hydra. So Americans were promised peace dividends and nation building at home. And instead, we witnessed a constant expansion of overseas commitments and a vast growing distance between the decisions made in Washington and the interests of the people, right? The people expected to pay for them. Today, as Washington debates deeper military integration abroad, many Americans are asking a simple question. If our infrastructure is crumbling, our debt is exploding, our very borders remain contested, and our own citizens struggle with rising costs of living, why does the political establishment always seem to find unlimited resources for foreign military commitments? Somebody want to make that make sense for us? And don't tell me it has to do with 4D chess or a grand psyop that is for my own benefit. So, maybe the most important question of all, if this proposal represents such a significant shift in the relationship between the United States and Israel, why are so few Americans hearing about it? So, on this episode of Sunday Wire, we'll examine the language, the implications, the geopolitical context, and what it could mean for the future of American foreign policy as Congress quietly considers one of the most consequential defense proposals in recent history. Should the military of a constitutional republic ever become institutionally integrated with the military of a foreign nation? The question alone is provocative enough. It's should be almost a rhetorical question. But hey, maybe people are really excited about this. Maybe Americans want this, and I'm just out of touch or something. Is that possible, my friends? I don't know. But Secretary of War Pete Kegsbreath, well, he decided to go and talk to some young American soldiers. I'm not seeing a whole lot of excitement on the faces of these young soldiers here. Just not seeing it. Uh, but let's see if Keg's Breath here can rally the young troops a little bit. I mean, let's give it a listen.
And when you do your job, the adversaries know what's coming for them. And that's when they either step up and meet the fury of the American military or back down, and you create a whole bunch of options for America and the president with what he wants to execute on behalf of the American people. So right now, hey, Iran has a choice. Meet at the table with the president and give up their nuclear program. And as the president said, I'm lost on time, 2 days ago now, in the cabinet meeting, I'm sitting right next to him. He looks in the camera and says, well, Iran can either do it the right way with a deal across the table, or they can deal with my guy on the left. That happened to be me. But it's not me, it's you guys. It's all of you. It's what you're ready to do. It's what
So it's what they're ready to do. This guy, big up in himself, you're going to have to deal with the guy on my left. President Trump said, that happened to be me. But it ain't me, it's you. You're the ones that are going to go fight and kill and maim, potentially be maimed, potentially be killed. For what? Yeah. No kidding. Chris is right. His "This Is War" t-shirt didn't sell well. It sure didn't. That was a very anemic ooh that he got there. Very anemic. I don't know. A couple of those people look like they're experienced and ready to do something, but the majority of them look like ROTC students or something. No offense, folks. They can deal with you guys. You guys, those guys. Deal with them. Alrighty, Keg's Breath. It's already not looking very popular, is it? So this article went somewhat wide this week. People are starting to talk about it. Ben Freeman over at responsiblestatecraft.org put this out. Congress quietly moves to integrate U.S. and Israeli militaries. So this has caused a lot of people to look at it, to look into the document itself. And this is all coming at a time, of course, when there are off the chart levels of distrust of the Israeli government here in the United States. Off the charts. I mean, it's insane. And finally, about time we've reached that critical mass. But as the U.S. population does start to approach some sort of critical mass on this narrative, here come the legislators. Here comes the NDAA. Here comes the National Defense Authorization Act. The NDAA. My goodness, if this is a constitutional republic, a representative government, who is it among us that is emailing their senator and their congresspersons, calling them, attending meetings, and saying, hey, I really dig the NDAA. I really like what you guys have done with that. I would like one next year that's even bigger. I would like a military budget that's well over $1 trillion. And myself and my fellow Americans who voted you into office, we want that. Can you imagine? The NDAA. For the uninitiated, the NDAA has been the delivery vessel of so much heinous and odious policy, legislation, spending, war profiteering, removal of constitutional rights. Yeah, these kind of things are all snuck into the NDAA, and the National Defense Authorization Act is often referred to as, an omnibus bill. An omnibus. Well, the Sunday Wire is your weekend news omnibus, but hey, we can get through a Sunday Wire in 2 hours, 3 hours. It's spoken in plain language. But the NDAA, that thing is a paper beast. That thing is a Trojan horse made of ones and zeros. Sometimes. Do they even print that thing out? Has anyone ever printed out an NDAA? Probably not. Waste of trees. But I mean, think about for example, okay, little Trojan horses, little barely describable as constitutional widgets baked in to these omnibus bills. This one in particular, the NDAA. That would have been the Smith-Mundt Reformation Act of 2014 under Obama. That's right. That's, I'm sure most of you know, that is when it was officially stricken from legislation that the American government cannot propagandize you, cannot knowingly and openly spew, pour, torrent psyops and propaganda straight into your third eye from a information beer bong known as social media or whatever, all vectors. So it's very, very difficult for anyone to argue that the Smith-Mundt Reformation Act of 2014 embedded in the NDAA is a good thing. I don't know of anyone who went and wrote their congressperson or their senator after that and said, "Hey, thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I really, really trust the government, and I love it when they lie to me. I love it when they try to trick me. I love it when they pull the wool over my eyes. I love it when they steal my money. I love it when they let foreign countries bomb innocent people. I love it when they make up lies about the geopolitical situation in a foreign country and then send in the color revolution people to destroy that place or change it fundamentally forever to great detriment to the citizens there. That's awesome. Can we have more of that? I don't know anyone who has said that ever. Yet your Congress people and your senators, what do? Oh, we need this. Got to have this. Who asked for this? Hmm. Hmm. Who did ask for this one? 2027 NDAA. So recommend Ben Freeman's article as a good jumping off point here. Again, that's up at Responsible Statecraft. Now, then you get into the actual document, and this is where a lot of people will fall short. So, it's just the way it is, right? We used to be some years ago, not very many, we used to be a population that kind of just read headlines and bylines, right? Which, by the way, was a huge boon to those that were behind the Smith-Mundt Reformation Act. But anyways, so headlines and bylines, great way to put a narrative and, a narrative elevator description basically in someone's brain as they scroll or scan a website of news article tiles. Woo, remember when we used to do that? Yeah. But these days, we're down to letting blue check marks on X tell us, analyze everything and all this stuff. So, it's not the best. And, but, shout out to Mr. Ben Freeman there. At least he linked to the actual document for those that want to look a little bit deeper here. So what we're talking about is Title II inside of the I do not believe this is the complete NDAA. I think it's like the skeleton of it basically that's being worked on. Someone can fact check me on that, but I believe this is a living, breathing document, unfortunately. Seeing as we are talking about how they've created a monster today, Congress and the US/Israeli war beast. Okay. That's what we're dealing with here. And in the document here, Title II, it's page 9 of the PDF. You can find section 224 right here. Now, this is the section in question. Section 224, United States Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative. Now, this is a document written in legalese and globalese. It is laden with legalese and globalese. And you can find even some of the people that drafted this thing nitpicking over certain words, right? So if you're out there looking at this and you gravitate towards the word merger, you will immediately be told, no, 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 it's not a merger. That would be bad. You're not saying it right. It's a cooperation initiative. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to take back everything I said. It's a cooperation initiative. But this is the kind of nitpicking you'll get. So let's take a quick read on it here. This section would require the Secretary of Defense. Wait, do we have that anymore? I thought it was Secretary of War. Anyways, this section would require the Secretary of Defense to designate an executive agent responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel, including bilateral defense, technology, research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. Industrial cooperation in our military industrial complex, huh? Okay. So, do we have, I can't even ask this with a straight face. Do we have any representatives on Capitol Hill who might say, well, wait a minute? Yeah, we do, but he's only there for another few weeks. Thomas Massey. Let's see how Thomas Massey responded to this. Massey says if the provision in the NDAA to integrate / synchronize the U.S. and Israeli militaries in Section 224 makes it out of committee, I'll offer an amendment to strip it from the bill on the floor. We are a sovereign country. So there you go. You've got one person on Capitol Hill kind of thinking the same way I am. I mean, this whole idea of representation in a constitutional republic just becomes absolutely laughable at this point. And, what is it about the technology part, right? Like somebody out there watching this might be saying, well, this is our greatest ally in the region. We share technology with them, and that's good, right? Well, okay. Which technology is it that has been shared with us? I'm trying to figure out what we, and by we, I don't mean the American military industrial complex. I mean, we, the American citizens, have gained from this arrangement. Because I'm not coming up with anything. I'm really having a hard time. And in fact, when I think about sharing technology, especially high-end military technology that may have, I don't know, classification attached to it, maybe, certain things, certain systems, certain platforms have aspects to them that are classified. And one of the reasons that is because this country used to care about illicit and illegal transfer of military technology to other countries. That makes sense. That I can process. So there must be something in the cooperation, right? That's the whole thing about cooperating, or at least it should be. But if we look back a little bit here, like how this has worked out for us so far, well, a couple of projects are worth mentioning. The LAVI fighter jet. After the U.S. funded LAVI project was canceled, Israel was accused of selling the plans and associated U.S. technology. Oh, okay. Who'd they sell it to, you might ask? China. What about missile technology? We've shared a lot of missile technology with Israel. Specific missile systems, such as the Python 3 air to air missile technology. Well, that technology was derived from the old Sidewinder missiles. If you were a Gen Xer like me growing up, you saw Maverick shooting Sidewinders off his Tomcat F-14. Anyways, the Python 3 air to air missiles were sold by Israel to China, leading to the development of the PL-8 missile for China. What about early warning systems? Is Israel making early warning systems and sharing them with the United States? Maybe that's something we could point to and say, "Oh, see, it is a cooperation. We are benefiting somehow." Early warning systems. A planned $1 billion sale of an advanced Israeli airborne early warning system, AWACS radar, if you will, which they called Falcon with a PH. Uh, this planned $1 billion sale to China was canceled due to U.S. pressure. So almost that one almost went to China. We had to say, hey, greatest ally in the region, could you please not sell our top secret AWACS radar system to China? Is that really something you should have to do with a country that you're in a agreement with, a treaty with, an arrangement with? By the way, is Israel in NATO? No. NATO, North American, that whole thing. They're not even in it. What about drone technology? In 2021, several Israeli individuals and companies faced indictments for illegally exporting cruise missiles and drone technology to an unnamed Asian country, China, without proper authorization. So let me make sure I understand this. In next year's NDAA, our government is talking about some sort of integration with Israel's military, our military with their military. And this is the same government that used the fear of China as a, campaign point, campaign plank. We got to beat China, right? We got to beat China. We got to beat China in all things military industrial complex. Okay, questionable. But even if I was rallying behind that little narrative there, how would I feel to know that the country that has sold China much of our technology is going to be integrated into our military, where we have more military secrets, institutionalized military secrets? You got to be kidding me. They tell us right now we have to have all these data centers. We need 1,500 data centers here in the United States, while China has about 460, so that we can beat China, right? And China's no slouch in the AI realm, in the nanotech realm, in the technology realm, in the military industrial realm, right? This administration, before they were even this administration, telling everybody, China, China, China. Watch out for China. Well, maybe watch out for your greatest ally in the Middle East that's stealing your military secrets and selling them to China. What about that one? The U.S. it's hard to say, but it's either number one or number two, probably. China and U.S. as it pertains to artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, quantum computing, robotics, all that stuff, automation. And we're going to officially, via the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027, integrate aspects of our military and Israel's military to include data sharing. Data sharing on which platforms? Data sharing on which level of internet? Do these people get U.S. security clearances? Do our people get Israeli security clearances? Is that a two-way street? We are not concerned about the transfer of military technology, the illegal and illicit spycraft style transfer of military technology to what our government tells us is one of our prime nemesis countries, the one we're in an arms race with, an AI race with, a robotics race with, an automation race with. So we're going to, okay, all right. And we got one guy on Capitol Hill who's going to stand against that torrent. And I think we all know how that's going to work out. He's got an expiration date basically tattooed on his his office door. So this whole idea of transferring technology, not even brought up. Israel transferring military technology to China, and no one in the GOP is concerned about this. Boy, does that beg some questions. Hey, check it out. We've got a Sunday screening for you this week. It's called Ecuador's Disappeared. It's up at 21stcenturywire.com. It's not a long watch, so it is the kind of thing you can throw on after Sunday Wire today and check it out. I think it's sub 30 minutes, something like that. And yeah, we curate these over at 21stcenturywire.com. Every week there is a companion piece, video, documentary, or something like that that goes with the show. So this week we've got Ecuador's Disappeared, Inside Ecuador's Forced Disappearances, for our weekly documentary film curated by the editorial team right here at 21 Wire. Fault Lines investigates forced disappearances conducted by Ecuador's military while waging a war against drug cartels. This is a very interesting one, so I hope you check it out after the show. And now, coming up momentarily here, we are going to have a presentation from Patrick Henningsen. I assume he will be back with us next week. If not, I will be here. Ruckus will be here. Hopefully, Basil will be here to hold it down. But we're looking forward to Patrick coming back next week. And here are a few words from Patrick for you for this week.
So the name of the game, as it was then, as it is today, protecting the straits. Well, that's what this battery of cannons was designed to do way back when. These are the very, very thin straits protecting the Tamar River in Plymouth Sound. This is Plymouth Harbor. When the English were at war with the Spanish and the French, many times the Spanish threatened to invade. So protecting these waterways from a naval landing was top priority. Cannons like this on each side, whatever the range, 200 meters, 500 meters, batteries on each side. It covered most of this opening of the mouth of the River Tamar into Plymouth Sound. But that's what's happening on the other side of the world. So that's what the British were preoccupied with back in the really from the 15, 16, 17, even 1800s, repelling a Spanish or French invasion. And here we are in 2026, and similar, different straits, different part of the world. So we've just got a few minutes here, and thanks Hesher and Ruckus and team. Thought we'd give you a little bit of a run through with what's going on in the world. And in the Sunday Wire, we'll probably have this discussion in overdrive, but it's pretty incredible. Things are really developing rapidly, but not in a positive way. Probably the most disturbing piece of news I saw over the last few days was the United States Trump administration are just, the U.S. government's occupied by Israel. They're trying to pass, if they haven't already, but through using the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, as a Trojan horse to link the Israeli and the U.S. militaries. So you've probably seen the talking point. You have all these sort of, even Netanyahu saying it, we don't need U.S. military aid, we can do it on our own. That's just a political talking point. They're panicking because the public is wise to this scam, that the Israelis have been fleecing the U.S. taxpayer through a type of extortion racket for decades. And so they're going to have to bring that to a close. They're going to bring that program to a close. But it doesn't mean that they're going to stop fleecing America. They're just going to change the grift. And so what they're trying to do is, through the NDAA, which is sort of what you might call a standing order for executive legislation, and it's a problem because it's a way to bypass Congress so they don't have to actually do anything democratically. So you can kind of earmark statutory funding and foreign policy through the NDAA. So it allows the U.S. to be constantly at war without having to declare war. And most of what's done through the NDAA is totally unaccountable. I'll give you an example. The war on terror. That rollover year in, year out after 9/11 was NDAA. Okay, it's an instrument that needs to be wrapped up and finished in America. It's an undemocratic instrument that allows the military-industrial complex, foreign interests, to basically run U.S. foreign policy and U.S. military deployments. The whole fake war against ISIS, which was fake, that was all run through the NDAA. And you would take these domestic terror events on U.S. soil, which would trigger a renewal of the NDAA, and then they'd add, for instance, deployment to Syria in, 2015. How did that happen? The San Bernardino shooting or terror attack that wasn't really a terror attack, looked like an FBI or an Israeli op on U.S. soil. That's exactly what it was. But that gave the green light for the U.S. to be deployed back into the Middle East. A kind of very dodgy, murky, so-called ISIS-inspired, it's ridiculous, ISIS-inspired terrorist attack in the armpit of, no offense to people who live in San Bernardino, it's not the greatest place, but I'm sure there's nice people there, but we'll call it the Inland Empire. I want to say the armpit of LA, that's just, but people in LA say that, so it's not just me saying that. I used to live in California, so I can take some liberties in saying some of these things. But it was through the NDAA they were able to run that grift, the ISIS grift. And Jihadi John, the videos, who knows, British intelligence, Israeli intelligence, the CIA, a combination thereof, corrupt elements of Jordanian intelligence, ran that whole scam. So here we are. Israel wants to basically be subsidized by the US taxpayers on a much higher level than just the military aid. That's what this new legislation is. It's almost to create a merger of the Israeli and US military. I cannot tell you how many different ways this is going to be a disaster. Okay? Past projects that we've done with Israel have, for instance, missile defense, technology sharing. Israel, on many occasions, okay, missile guidance, all sorts of things. They've stolen the technology from the US taxpayer, and then they've sold it to China. I kid you not. And they've done that on at least 3 occasions. So you open yourself up to that. You open yourself up to Israelis being able to basically create Trojan horses and backdoors into your system, lethal systems. I don't think that's a good idea. Working with Israeli tech firms, bad idea. Being over-reliant on AI and Palantir that have very strong links to Israeli intelligence and cyber units like 8200, bad idea. Bad idea. Because, why is that a bad idea? Because Israel's proven that, just listen to the statements from Ben Gvir or from their sort of proxies in the US, like Mark Levine or Lindsey Graham. Look at the statements. The US cannot be allowed to negotiate any peace agreement with Iran. The war must continue. That's their position. So if that's what you're dealing with, and there happens to be a conflict, then you're giving these people the ability to sabotage your sovereignty on so many different levels, and then build up their defense paid for by the US deficit spending, the US taxpayer. When I say US taxpayer, it's only symbolic, because US taxpayer, whatever they contribute into the federal slush fund is finished by April. If you're talking about a 12-month rolling year, it's finished by April, maybe March, who knows. But because the US is borrowing $2 to $2.5 trillion a year just to do all the stupid things that the federal government does. So that's why they don't have any money for anything that's good for the people. Plenty of money for Israel, plenty of money for the military-industrial grift, plenty of money to bail out big agri, big oil, big fracking, plenty of money for that, and plenty of money for deploying the US military to go around and basically intimidate people year-round. That's what the US government do. So Israel will have a piece of this. So I can't tell you, this is just a disaster. That's about the most disturbing thing I saw in the news cycle in the last couple of days that's worth commenting on. Listen, they know Trump, the MAGA is finished. New polling's come out. MAGA is underwater officially with white working class voters. Okay? 54% of white working class voters will not vote for MAGA or support MAGA, disapprove of Trump, the whole thing, the whole grift. What does that mean? That means that they're going to get trounced in the midterms, beaten badly in the House and Senate, most likely. That's what the polling suggests anyway. And this latest polling is bad. So, you know, this whole thing of positioning yourself as a populist, that you're going to do right for the working class man, American Joe the plumber and his wife and family and whatever. It was all a scam. Okay, Trump's remaining base. I've said it before. I'll say it again. All that Trump has left as a base is the Israel mob, the military-industrial mob, the Wall Street thieves, the Howard Lutnicks of the world, the Epstein class, big oil and big gas, and big property. That's all they've got. There's nothing left. There is no more MAGA. That's it. It's finished. It was a scam. And now you can see the extent of it. Israel knows when Trump goes, Israel will never get anything near the support for its future greater Israel endeavors than it got during this presidency. They won't even get anything near what they got in past presidencies. That's just a reality. So, and Netanyahu is a keen student of U.S. I'm just going to go under this tree, under this U.S. politics. So he knows. He knows that it's finished. So this is their last chance. So they're trying to fuse the Israeli military-industrial complex with the U.S. military-industrial complex and make those two one. And they only have a limited time to do it. And meanwhile, I mean, the hate and disapproval of Israel among the American public is at record levels. I would say it's probably around 70%. And of that 70% that disapprove of Israel in the U.S., in real terms, at least 20% of those can't stand the sight of this, of Netanyahu and this rogue state. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So anyway, we have to raise this issue. I'm in a beautiful environment right now, in a beautiful place in Cornwall, and but sometimes the news isn't so beautiful. So anyway, that's newsworthy, and yeah, I thought I'd bring that up. That's a worthy discussion, possibly for the overdrive segment in the second hour. So something to chew on there for our esteemed panel. Anyway, we had a good discussion with Freddie Ponton last week. That was a great privilege to be able to meet up and do some real work with Freddie over there. So that was very much appreciated. And this week we're back. We'll be back in studio next Sunday. But Straits of Hormuz, well, I hate to say it, but we've sort of figured out the whole Trump pantomime. It's kind of boring at this point. But there's no deal. There's no deal. Because what Trump thinks is a deal is not an actual deal. It's a one-way imposing your will on the other side, and if they don't accept it, then you're going to threaten to crush them. He just threatened to blow up Oman. Oman's the other country on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz. It's been a U.S. ally since, well, as long as it's been in existence. But Trump kind of ruined that overnight by saying, if they don't behave, we're going to blow them up. No basis at all for saying that, other than he's just a complete idiot. But he's probably told something by his degenerate advisor, Stephen Miller, sort of interesting specimen there. But yeah, we're going to blow up Oman. It was a stupid thing to say. Because if you would have curried favor with Oman, that would have been you would have been halfway there to solving the problem. You wouldn't even need to really deal with Iran that much. That's how stupid Trump is. He's ignorant. Anything outside of the tri-state area, and Florida, he's out of his element. He'll visit a country, doesn't even know what language the people speak most of the time. He's not very bright. not very intelligent, not very high IQ. But this is the guy that accuses everyone of being low IQ, which I find to be quite funny. But so there's going to be no deal for the Strait of Hormuz. So it's just status quo. It's peace without peace. Peace without peace, always on the edge of war. It's going to take the U.S. 3 years to recoup its stock, so it's just kind of buy time, do intermittent attacks and strikes for the duration of this administration, however long they last. And yeah, completely clueless. Marco Rubio, Trump, they can't be allowed to block international waters. Well, they're not blocking international waters because there are no international waters in the Strait of Hormuz. There's Iranian territorial waters touch Omani territorial waters. Iran is not a signatory to the convention, the UN Convention of the Law of the Seas in 1982. So it's by not signing that, and neither is the United States, by the way. So what the hell is Rubio blowing smoke about? But even if they were, they would have the right in a wartime situation to police and control and set terms as far as access to that strait, because they were attacked by the U.S. and Israel. End of story. So, even on international law basis, the U.S. doesn't even have a leg to stand on. So they don't even know what they're talking about. You know what's worse about that is the press don't even know either. That Rubio will say something completely stupid, like an ignoramus, that they cannot hold this international waterway hostage. Or say something really stupid. It doesn't have any basis in international law, jurisprudence, precedent, history, international relations, full stop. Not relevant. He'll say that. He's a Secretary of State. He's meant to have a brain. I know it's a stretch for a U.S. Secretary of State. There's been so many underwhelming ones. Blinken was smart, but he was evil. He was working for Israel. He was an Israeli agent, effectively. Plenty intelligent, but evil. Rubio is not as smart as he claims he thinks he is. He's sort of like Trump. He makes it up as he goes along. And if you're surrounded by clowns and fools and charlatans, you might very well be the smartest man in the room. As the old saying goes, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That is the sort of maxim of the Trump administration and this MAGA crowd, this strange excuse for a cabinet. Nonetheless, what's worse than Rubio popping off, talking rubbish, or Trump saying incredibly crazy and stupid things, is that the press don't pull them up on it. So the press are either equally as stupid or afraid to challenge them on camera, or are going along with it. That's called controlled opposition. Okay? Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, the Democrats are on board with the war. Most of them are on board with the war. Most of them are on board with the genocide in Israel. No doubt about that. So that's what you're dealing with. I don't blame politicians. I've said this before. I didn't blame them during COVID because they are what they are. Politicians, by nature, it literally says it on the tin. If you get a tin of evaporated or freeze-dried politician, and you add water when you want to animate it and bring it to life, it says it on the tin. It says genetically predisposed to lie. It says it. It's on the instruction. It's in the manual. Genetically predisposed to lie, will deceive, will grift, and often. So politicians will do what they do. Cover their ass, lie, and take money. from special interests who will fund their next election. That's what they do. So we can't, in some ways, you can't always blame the politician. They are what they are. But I do blame the press, because the press that are facilitating this fraud, they don't really have a decent excuse, you know, because they're masquerading as being kind of journalists, and they're not. And that's the one you really need to look at and go after. Okay, mainstream media are still as bad as ever. Slightly better on some issues, like Israel. Some of them are forced to come around because the general public are like, this is so bleeding obvious. This is so evil. What Israel's doing, targeting children for target practice, which we heard this week. Hat tip to Tucker Carlson once again for doing a public service to the world by bringing on Dr. Maynard, Oxford physician, giving a first-hand testimony of what he saw and witnessed in Gaza. It's absolutely disgusting. It makes your stomach turn. But thank you, Tucker, for doing that once again. But, you know, mainstream journalists are going to do what they're going to do. And you can blame the public, because the public have a chance to fact check, to do some reading, to you know, take an honest take. But so many of the public are co-opted, but less and less with regards to Trump. I think those days are over. They're coming to an end very soon. But yeah, I mean, what can you expect from a politician, honestly? If there's any honest ones in Washington, I can literally count them on one hand. And after this year, there's probably two, maybe three. They're getting the Israel lobby and our media and some of the corrupt elements. They're getting rid of any remaining honest politicians. Even one out of 500 in Congress is a threat. Even one. You have to like spend $30 million to get rid of the last truth teller, Thomas Massey. That's how threatened they are with one dissenter. It's like that children's film Ants. Famous scene out of Ants. It's true. So true. So true. Anyway, those are our something to ponder and think about today. And I'm going to go back to enjoying my walk through these beautiful gardens. You'd think you're in Versailles. Not quite, but close enough. But anyway, I'm going to hand the baton back to my colleagues. Back to you, Hesher and team. Thank you very much. Sunday Wire, appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe. If you're on the live stream right now, seeing the comments come through, amazing. Like and subscribe to this channel, don't forget. And go to our website or the link below, hit donate, support us, subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. That's one way you can support us and help us every week. Okay, we got a great program, great website, investigative reports, Freddie Ponton, great article by Julian Rose. Great article by Julian Rose on our website just on Friday. So check all that out. Appreciate you guys. Patrick Henningsen signing out, and pass it over to my colleagues. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Love seeing the location, the nature, the walkthrough. Thank you for that. And we're going to take a brief musical interlude here and enjoy the sounds of our friends and colleagues band, The Real Anthem. You can find them on X and at Bandcamp at The Real Anthem Band. And of course, we've got links to all that on today's show page. Please share today's show page. You can find a Sunday Wire episode 597 show page available at 21stcenturywire.com and alternatecurrentradio.com. You can even just repost it from at 21wire on X, because we are streaming live on X. What's up, X? Or, you know, Telegram, if you're following us on Telegram, Facebook, all that stuff. We got show post links out there. And if you're out there watching live, or even the recorded version, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That helps us out. Big shout out to everybody in the comments threads on Rumble, YouTube, X, BitChute, all the places. So here's the real anthem.
Cover in the dark, secret wars are waged, quiet army sabotage, bloody tension remains, global faces of a crime, the sleight of hand betrays. Something slept inside their hearts as explosions rage. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? Paper empires catch a spark as vultures come to prey. Hollow kings are losing ground. Shadows of decay. Walls begin to show a crack as ancient echoes fade. Scales shall fall from blinded eyes, renewing all our faith. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? Eyes open wide. There's no disguise. Eyes open wide. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason?
All right, welcome back to the Sunday Wire. We are in the overdrive segment of this weekend's Wire. Thank you once again for joining us live. We are live at alternatecurrentradio.com, 21stcenturywire.com, and of course, streaming out on YouTube, X, Rumble, BitChute, and probably a couple other places that I have forgotten. Now, I'm going to be joined by Ruckus. We've got Adam Clark joining us here in the Sunday Wire. Welcome to the Sunday Wire, Adam. How are you this afternoon?
That's me. I saw somebody in the chat thought I was Bryan. No, that's you, actually, right? It gets confusing. Ruckus is fine. I see. I got the full name today. Yeah, I usually do the full name for Sunday Wire or more professional podcast appearances, but normally on, say, the Boiler Room, which we do on a weekly basis over at Alternate Current Radio, it's usually just Ruckus, just Hesher. Right. And then sometimes I'll go make a comment inside the chat and it'll say Adam Clark. And I'm talking and people are like, who's this Adam Clark guy? So that way that avoids any confusion there. But anyways, thanks for having me. Quite the program today was interesting because apparently, obviously, Patrick pre-recorded his little bit there since he's busy traveling just before he knew exactly what we were going to be talking about. And lo and behold, we're not just going to talk about that war beast thing, the fusion, as it were. What a terrible word that is. The merger, or what was that fancy? What's the legalese term that you used? A cooperative initiative between the two militaries as a beast. And that he said, well, maybe that's a little side topic. No, that's the main topic today, isn't it? Who knew? I hope everybody appreciated what we were doing with the graphics today. Obviously with the Godzilla looking guy, I was originally going for like a 1950s Toho studio monster movie style kind of thing. And then I decided to go a little bit darker and throw in some other subtle imagery that, you can't even talk about these things. You can't mention how the one little room area there, which is, of course, Conger, happens to look like that little candlestick thing. That's just a coincidence. We got some little squid look. I won't even say the O word because that gets us in trouble. We got possibly an American mutated eagle talon and this monster with two heads. And then, of course, the one that I rocked for the alternate current radio version at our website there, which was fun. But yes, Hesher, if I'm not mistaken, how long do you think it would take for me to do a little digging online or maybe even ask ChatGPT or Grok just about all of the terrible, awful things that, say, the United States military has done and or been accused of doing, and then do the exact same thing with the IDF? First of all, I wonder which one would be worse. I'll let you discuss amongst yourself. But to then take all of those atrocities, all of those terrible, beastly, monstrous things, and then fuse them together into one, I say this is a bad idea. But, this is, what do I know, right, Hesher? I'm certainly no geopolitical expert, although I do come on here and comment on such things on a frequent basis.
It's like kaiju military, kaiju geopolitics, right? We're dealing with some sort of hybrid war monster here, and our own U.S. Congress is looking at being Dr. Frankenstein, right? Plugging in the electric nodes to the kaiju war beast and just pulling the lever, see the lightning come down and the beast behind Ruckus come to life there. So
I have another version of him too. This one is pretty cool. There you go.
Oh, now we're talking. Like
Yeah, that one's
1967 kaiju war beast.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, why did they color the heads? Although it looks cool. I mean, I really like the aesthetic of this one. And I could have made the faces black and white, but I decided to just use this as the one that didn't make it shot. So there you go.
Yeah. And we have to have a little bit of fun here, and using metaphor and science fiction and these sort of things are definitely keep us on our toes and keep us interested and stuff. But when you really think about, the ethos of war monsters, of hydras, of Godzilla, Gojira, all this stuff, where it really hurts is the citizenry. Whatever the mythos is, whatever the motivation is for the beasts and classic kaiju films and whatnot, the people that suffered were the citizens. The people that had their countries destroyed were the citizens. You see entire major cities wiped off the map in these sort of films. So,
if I'm not mistaken, somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to oversimplify this, but I will for the sake of time and the fact that I'm not very well versed on this, but I'm 99% sure I'm right that was the impetus for why they made the say Godzilla movie. This was a commentary about the evils of, like, say, the radiation fallout of the nuclear war and all of that stuff. It's a wartime kind of thing, and it was very much anti-war messaging was supposed to be in those films. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and it's very much in line with what we're doing here, not us per se, but our Congress. By how dare they? This is crazy, and it's like, it's wild because, it's being reported, as you reported, that it's quietly happening. So of course most people aren't aware of it, but it's not quiet enough that the vast majority of people who are paying attention are like, wait, hold on a sec. So people are talking about it before it goes down. But as you mentioned, when the rubber meets the road, who's going to stop? It's going to be one man who may or may not still be around to be the one man to stand against it. I mean, what's going to happen then? Oh, he's not going to be around, is he? Right? Yeah.
Right.
Looking at this calendar. So it's like there's going to be no man standing against it. What do we do?
Right. And the thing about these omnibus bills, the NDAA is a great example.
They'll all read it.
Yeah. None of them read it, for one. That's super important to point out. At least they now have AI and they can say, hey, AI, could you please summarize this thing for me? Because it used to be they'd ask their staffers to do that, and the staffers were too busy, hanging out at whatever rainbow bar they're hanging out at to actually do that for them. And, I'm not just making this up or being hyperbolic. We've heard a lot of politicians talk about this in the past. It's an open secret. But what these kind of bills do is they like leave a doorway open for future, future amendments, future ratifications, future legislation, future title sections inside of, the next NDAA. So this one, just going back to the language they used here in it, authorizes cooperation across a huge list of covered technologies. That part's a quote: covered technologies, including AI, quantum computing, autonomous systems, directed energy, hypersonics, advanced manufacturing, cybersecurity, biotech, microelectronics, space-based systems. Is there anything here outside of what makes up the military-industrial complex? That sounds like the whole thing to me.
Well, there might be a few parts that they missed. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? So they got to leave a little wiggle room, right? So now all they have to do is just add new items as they feel necessary to the list of technologies, as is described there, right? Which, I mean, once everybody gets brain chips or everybody starts, like, if they are literally, if they approve, like, yeah, okay, we're giving you something that will literally change your DNA, but it's like, this is what you want to do. Like, at what point, to what portion of that is owned by the government or is owned by corporations or could be a national security? Now you physically, because of something that you have inside your body, now might be subject to these things under things like the NDAA, if you know what I'm saying. But
oh yeah,
I don't want to get too creepy here.
I don't either. I don't even want to imagine the partner omnibus to the NDAA.
But there's this thing where the government and the military, in certain instances, although they should not be able to do so, will just come and take your property or your land, or maybe just camp out in your house, and you got to take care of them, house them, feed them. Imagine what they could do if to your own body, if they feel they own you in some sort of way, shape, or form, or have a right to eminent domain your ass.
If that sounds like science fiction to anybody out there watching, I just saw this week literal videos of IDF soldiers lurking inside of homes in South Lebanon, just lurking, just like Rick James sitting on the couch with muddy boots, start grinding their boots into the white couch, turning stuff over. This is actually happening as we speak.
Any of them throwing on some women's underwear, or is that only in Gaza?
Well, we've got photo and video evidence of that stuff going on too. It's hard to locate.
Also, they stormed the castle. I think you saw that today. They literally stormed a castle in Lebanon. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Great job, guys. Great job.
What year is this?
Have fun storming the castle, as you said on X, Ruckus. It's funny, but it's not funny at all. It's absolutely shocking.
No, it's not, because these a-holes, these complete degenerate jerks who now we're merging with our military, are going to be hanging out with these people. They're such awesome, the highest, best, most moral army on earth. No, they do have fun storming the castles. They have way too much fun, and their form of fun is quite evil, disgusting. It's more like pillaging and looting and plundering and raping and all the fun stuff. Oh, I shouldn't have said that word on YouTube.
Did
Sorry.
you say graping? I thought you said
I
graping.
did. Oh, yeah, I love grapes. Makes wine. It's good stuff.
All right. Another point. The text calls for quote unquote network integration, quote unquote data fusion between the two militaries, and quote unquote interoperability of systems and platforms. Also, quote unquote co-development and co-production of weapons, and the creation of quote combined program offices to run joint projects. I would like to just think about that for a second here, piece by piece, if I may. First off, network integration. What do you mean by network integration? And I ask that because here in the United States, we have a very important network to the military. It's called SIPRNet. It doesn't even touch the unwashed internet, the unprophylactic internet that I am now speaking to you on. It's not even allowed to touch it. It's a completely different set of wires, routers, switches, and data centers. And it is specifically for the US military. And for one to log into SIPRNet, one needs a clearance, right? Anyone out there who's ever worked for the Department of Defense before or currently works for the Department of War knows what I'm talking about. It's not a trivial matter for an American citizen with no criminal record and no foreign affiliations to get a secret clearance. I'll say that again. It's not easy. It's not a simple like DMV trip. We all know those aren't simple. It's like a 5-month investigation. It's people, investigators come in and interviewing you and interviewing the, 5 people closest to you, asking them questions about you and your allegiances and your travel and all this stuff, right? Like that's how you get access to those systems. So are we talking about those kind of networks? Which networks are we integrating? Because it sounds like those are the networks that they've already integrated, first of all, because we're seeing our military technology being fielded in Gaza, in Palestine, by and with IDF soldiers. So do they have these clearances? Are they checked for criminal background? Are they checked for, their foreign connections? I have so many questions about this because it's a big deal for an American citizen to hold a clearance. It's a big deal for an American citizen to have access to military networks, especially if they're a civilian. And I got news for you. We've got loads of civilians that have secret clearances and top secret TSSCI clearances and other various higher levels of clearance. People who work at Northrop Grumman, people who work at, Raytheon, people who work at Lockheed, people who work at various educational institutions around the country, people that work in manufacturing. Many of these people have these kind of clearances because they need to cooperate with other people in the military system about items that are likely classified in many cases. And if you have said clearance and you work on any of these type of systems, you will also understand that integrating networks and doing fusion of data is highly regulated. Everything has to go through the security manager. Everything has to be approved. Anything going from one network, in this case, for example, SIPRNet, to open internet, which in the military they call NIPRNet, rarely done. Once a machine that has been cleared for that military network has been plugged into one of those networks, it mostly never comes off. If you want to pull it out of that network and use it for anything normal again, administrative, whatever, you have to basically go through a security manager, shred the hard drive, pull all the memory. You got to, it's almost like not even worth doing. You may as well just go get a new computer. In fact, that's what the military will tell you to do. So this idea of willy-nilly telling citizens, yeah, we're just going to, I don't want to say merge. We're going to have a cooperative agreement with another country here and integrate them into our networks and fuse our data, diffusion of our data. Hold up. Red flag number one. All right. The security stuff, all that, network integration. Wait, what, which networks, how, for what purpose, where are the guardrails, this kind of thing. Data fusion. Ruckus, I got to tell you, yeah, I'm starting to feel like this guy right here.
No, maybe they meant that kind of network.
Yeah,
saying
that makes more sense than what we're seeing right now. That's for sure. But this idea of data fusion, what? Especially now that we know the scope, the breadth and depth of the United States data. They have all the data on everyone, all the citizens. They're bragging about, collecting what they don't already have.
I was going to say they have so much that they're already worried about the stuff that they don't have yet.
Yeah.
They're in a mad dash rush to build. How many did you say are going up in the United States of America? 15,000? Or is that how many we have? What were those numbers?
I had it on Boiler Room. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, but then it was compared to like what China's got, like 400 something, right?
Yeah, it was obscene. It was like 1,400 in the United States and 469 in China or something like that.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned on the Boiler Room, that they want to cram like 5 of them in our small little town, which is crazy. And that's happening everywhere. So yeah, that's going on in the background of what you're discussing here. So, boy, if you weren't already nervous about all of this, maybe we should be even more nervous about all of this, right? Is this why, Hesher, that we're putting like drone pods on top of the White House and building ballrooms and, naming these data centers as military installations? So if they're military installations, that means it's half of it's Israel's then, right? I mean, what's
or
ours
at least
is theirs.
but the data is fused, right? And
yeah.
What technologies are you able to view that kind of big data on, right? 330 million Americans plus everybody else, like Palantir. Who's Palantir support? Well, Israel, big time. But yeah, James Lee put this out. The data is from Statistica, Brightleo, and it's top 10 countries with the most data centers. In the number 1 position is the USA. I vastly underestimated it in my memory. 5,381. Germany.
Yeah, we're number 1.
Yeah, we're at number 1. We're in a major race here, but apparently we're number 1. Germany, second place with 521. Oh, that's a lot. And then UK, 514. And in 4th place shows China, 449 data centers.
Now, I'm curious, how many data centers does Israel have?
They did not even make the top 10. So are they going to just benefit from all the data that is costly, generated unconstitutionally and extremely costly here in the United States? Are they just going to have a Palantir portal that goes right into all that? Like, we paid for this disgusting panopticon system to surveil us and violate our rights, and now we're going to say that's a military operation. And oh, by the way, we're going to have a cooperative agreement with a foreign country who has transferred much of our military technology to arguably our biggest adversary in the AI and military realm and robotics realm and everything realm.
But that's just like conspiracy talk and anti-Semitism to discuss such things. But now it's okay. We don't have to worry about that because we can just do it out in the open. And it's just everything's mutual and shared. And
Yeah.
oh, it's just joy and happy. Kumbaya. This is
Yeah, it's
great.
just great.
You got it. You must admit, at least it does remove that little aura of the secrecy and the black marketness, the stealing and the espionage. Maybe it probably might be better this way. I hate to say it.
Yeah, this legislation might save the next Jonathan Pollard from having to spend some time in jail before he gets let out.
Also, because we do know. I mean, although it's not been necessarily proven or necessarily 100% admitted, Israel does have nuclear weapons or access to, or maybe they just say that they do because they're guessing they're going to try to use ours. But anyways, at least they're not going to turn that on us, right? Because that would be like turning it on themselves, right? So I mean, because I was always worried that once they're done with all the places and all the places and all the places, that they were just going to keep going, and that eventually, if we started to push back under a different administration, they might start doing what they do all around the world and threaten us with those weapons or something, or maybe they'll just threaten us with our own data. Aha! Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Somewhere in my stack of links and videos, I've got a video of Netanyahu himself kind of threatening somebody about a journalist about coming at them through their phone, through their digital device. So yeah, but anyway, back to this data fusion thing. Another thing, anyone that has worked in a CIPRNet lab or a high security location on military networks will know is you're in deep doo-doo if you mess up in data sharing, if you cut and paste something into the wrong spot, you take something from a certain level of clearance and bring it down without having it cleared through the security manager. There are like World War II style propaganda posters all over your STBL, your secure telecommunications lab, and all that kind of stuff for CIPRNet. You're I can tell you from experience, you're always on your toes when you're in a place like that and you're working with laptops, working with data. And the worst thing you could imagine is accidentally giving like TSSCI level data to a foreign partner, right? Like I can also say from my work experience in my previous life, the United States military has partnerships with other countries. That is not abnormal. You look at the partnerships we have with Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada. We have Japan, Turkey, all the NATO countries. Our military does joint operations with all those militaries. They do share data with those militaries. And back in my day, our military went to great lengths to make sure that that was done safely, that data was, not being leaked to people, that people weren't, doing any sort of illicit gathering of data or spreading of data. And it going to a foreign national is like the number one thing you want to make sure is not happening. So if this passes in the NDAA, does that all go away? Like that all still remains for Japan and Turkey and Canada and all these other places that we do have treaties and agreements with, and places that are NATO members, right? We're not even allowed to let them into these systems, but we're going to let Israel into these systems and share all the data with them. I mean, if they're talking about, and I don't see how they can't be talking about data fusion and network integration with classified military systems, it goes against all the rules that people that work on those systems are told. And if it's like you just replacing, like let's say in a certain vignette where the American military is working with Japan on something, and there's all these rules about what data they can see, where's the sandbox. Usually a big thing with this kind of experimentation and cooperation is there's a sandbox location for data that has been cleared from all security managers involved as joint data, but the two militaries will have their own stuff firewalled off, and the rule of digital engagement keeps it that way. But what this is saying to me is that no, not only that, co-development and co-production of weapons, I guarantee you the majority of that, if not all of that, is behind Cybernet. So are we just giving, to me, Ruckus, it sounds like we're just giving a pass to a foreign nation to have access to our entire network and data and development systems.
Well, that's how I read it. I mean, so. But what's interesting, though, is like technically the jury's still out as to the longevity, the future, as it were. Like, is NATO always going to be a thing? Are any of these as they're currently set? Is the United Nations even going to be a thing as it stands? We see Trump himself creating these new. What is it? What's his? Is the peace? What's he call it?
Peace.
Board of Peace. I've made fun of it so many times, 5 different ways, that I forget the real name of it is just as trollish and weird. But yeah, the Board of Peace. So yeah, who knows what? And the world is completely changing. He's destroyed everybody's trust in the United States dollar as the reserve currency. Obviously, we're going to have to deal with that sooner than later, unfortunately. So we see the BRICS nations. We see the fractioning of all these people are they're buddying up. They're building these little like groups all around the planet. And what if like this is ours? And that's all this is. It's probably just be like this beast against the rest of the world, right? Because the rest of the world is not a big fan of either one of these, especially these days, if I'm not mistaken. And then again, to put them together with the full might of the military power, forget whatever Israel's got going on there, because yes, vast majority of it was actually probably stolen from us anyway, or other people. They're going to use the full might of the great American military to go do the things that we've been seeing them do. Is that what I see? That's what I'm worried about. Is how are they going to use our actual military to do things that I see Israel doing? And I don't want to be a part. It's bad enough that we're already participating in that, but to participate in that kind of, that's more like, how do you get out of that? How do you disentangle? How do you remove one head and keep the other, and without losing the body or the people? You know what I mean? All the tragic. Like, this is just terrible. I'm just very concerned about what this means. And again, yes, what does the future look like? What do the alliances look like? But we can clearly see what at least one of them looks like, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And, I suppose there might be people out there that support this. And many of them would say that, as the Leah files pointed out on X, and James Lee amped it a little bit this week, have we done this with anyone else? Is there a precedent for this? Should we chill out? That kind of thing. On the operational and command side, yes, she writes. The United States has integrated its forces with other countries before, and far more deeply than Section 224 proposes. A clear example is NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, a genuinely binational command the U.S. has shared with Canada since 1958, where a single command structure runs air and missile warnings for both nations. In Korea, the U.S. Republic of the U.S./Republic of Korea Combined Forces Command was set up in 1978, and that even places certain forces under a combined command in wartime. NATO has an integrated military structure as well, so actual command level integration with allies is not necessarily new. However, the big thing with this is the research cooperation, that's normal between allies. But what makes this really unusual is the combination of shared networks, shared data, jointly run program offices, and co-production, all wrapped into one institutionalized permanent structure. That's a huge, huge difference, and a huge problem for anyone saying, oh, we had NORAD and NATO and the Korea Combined Forces Command. No, I'm sorry. That does not even come close to those countries having access to our military secrets, to our military decisions, co-production. We've not done this, not at this level.
There you have it. And yeah, again, in the world of AI and deep fakes and propaganda and data centers and upset citizenry all around the world rising up against their governments, this is probably going to end well, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And again, I already said it, but Israel is not a NATO member. It's not party to a mutual defense treaty with the
Well, now
United
they will be
States.
by proxy, right?
Yeah. How do all the other countries feel at this point? They see Israel getting like, just a golden dome, a golden brick road just to oblivion. I mean, on the American taxpayers' backs.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I was going to say, who pays for all this, by the way? Is this, how much do they pay? How much are they contributing here?
Yeah. Well, someone might mention that too. Well, we already gave these guys like $300 billion over the last how many years, adjusted for inflation. This is just,
So we should give
more
them
of that. No, like Patrick pointed out, this just removes the like annual fight over these kind of things. It puts them in position of power to actually push legislation as though that's not already happening. Thanks,
Because
IPAC.
as he pointed, because they can see the future for them coming. It's like, again, the whole effing world is like, what are y'all doing? And eventually they're gonna try to do something about it, and then we're gonna
Right.
get stomped on, by a war beast.
Right. And all this talk, Trump's talk about pulling the United States out of NATO, now it makes a heck of a lot more sense. It's like, yeah, we don't need to be in that, trade organization. We don't need to be in that alliance. We've got this one.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. I'm gonna go start my own, right?
Go start my own. That's right.
He'll call it Trump, Trump, and each letter will stand for something.
Yeah. Oh man. So as of yesterday, Section 224 is text in the House Chairman's mark of the FY 2027 NDAA. It's not law. The path is a committee markup, a House floor vote, a conference to reconcile with the Senate version, and then the president's signature, with many opportunities for the language to be changed or flat stripped out. So if you want to look at this yourself, it's HR 8800, House Resolution 8800, the FY 2027 NDAA. You can check it out yourself. And
Does the president himself would have the authorization and the ability in that moment when he goes to sign it to not and do a veto instead, right?
Yeah, he totally would.
Cool. I'm going to be praying really, 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 really hard.
Yeah, we all better do that really, really, really hard. Unbelievable that they would even try to do this. It is just like we're not
Okay,
having
all
enough
you
Trojan horses pull
70
up
chess
already.
Q-tards, this is your moment. This is your last chance. If he doesn't at the last moment go, okay, I'm going to sign this, and he goes, haha, I'm just kidding, and he's all, haha, we got everybody locked up. They're gone. We did it. We made America great. Sorry, we had to. Yeah, if he doesn't reveal that he's JFK Jr. and he just saved the world, I'm going to be very upset, Hesher.
Yeah, and all your tax dollars have been returned to your bank account too.
Yes, thank you. That's right. We stole all your money. Here it is back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and we compensated the people that we destroyed with the war beast over the years.
The warp speed? Oh no! Sorry, war beast.
Oh, whoa! Those are very close together, are they not? All right. Let's do a little run through some headlines here, man. Netanyahu orders expansion of Gaza occupation. Gee, I was just hearing talks about like putting the brakes on all this stuff, but apparently that's all just been bloviating BS. I guess let's see. I've got Netanyahu himself here talking about it, I believe.
Israel they have no interest in governing Gaza. They have no interest in occupying Gaza long term and being the government of Gaza.
Right now, we are crushing Hamas. Yes, we are now in control of 60% of the Gaza Strip. You know that. We were at 50%. Now we have moved to 60. My directive is to move to, don't go by the order. First of all, 70%. Let's start with that.
Don't go by the order.
What does that mean?
It means he's just going to keep doing what they're doing. And
He tricked everybody. He's like, okay, so 50% to 60%, and I'm saying we're going to go to 70%, but we just went 100%. Now what?
Yeah.
Oops.
They told us to stop at 50%, but we're at 60, approaching 70, guys. That kind of thing.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, and we're seeing the same sort of scenario play out in Lebanon while this is happening as well. We also have Trump set up Cuba regime change campaign out of Axios here. The U.S. will continue to ramp up economic pressure on the island, sources have told the outlet. I'm not going to go through everything in there, but it's worth looking at. I recommend checking out Axios or RT just to get a read on that. Sounds like they're looking at more sanctions and taking actions that will directly impact the people that live there. Much austerity is being predicted. And they're just, basically telling us they're going to cause a regime change. According to Axios. Yeah, go ahead.
There's no reason that I can find yet. Did I miss something? Because usually they give us like a reason, a crappy one, then they change their mind and go they're like Venezuela, they're like narco terrorists. Yeah, that's it. And then they're like, oh no, it's this, and oh no, it's that, and then all the back and forth with the Iran thing. So they're just like, yeah, we're just just Cuba, yeah, whatever. We're probably just going to take it, whatever. What? Why? I'm waiting for an answer from somebody. No answer.
Yeah, so
we can, I guess, because we let them do it to Venezuela, I guess. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, nothing's off the table after what we've seen. So this story, I should mention, is based around unnamed officials from the Trump administration, I believe, who told the outlet, quote, "The best way to describe it is accelerationism, but we don't want to kill off the regime just yet. There's a method to this. It's in stages. Trump wants to exhaust all the levers that he can, but at this point, there aren't as many levers as before." And then someone else added, "We have a pretty deep toolbox, especially when it comes to sanctions and enforcing them. More is on the way." So U.S. embargo, they are planning, it sounds to me like, leading to riots and eventual regime change, which is not great because we know what that means. It means it's going to be summertime. People won't have electricity. They get angry and they take to the streets. And then on top of that, if it looks anything like it did in other places where we've seen this tactic, there will be instigators and violence will ensue. The whole problem, reaction, solution cycle begins.
But didn't he, Trump, and people like Tulsi and all of them say we weren't doing that? We have no appetite for all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, where's Tulsi now? Oh, never mind.
Though.
Yeah. Yeah, what
this
else
is really getting ridiculous. I mean, what's next? They're going to be like, just pick them. Like, sorry, Canada, I would hold on to your butt if I were you, because, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is in recession for the first time in quite a long time. So somebody do some research on that. But yeah, things are not looking well for Canada already. So, and then that's usually the precursor. And we've seen him do some tough talk about how, well, we're just going to make Canada the next state or whatever, right? And he wants Greenland and all these things. They're just picking places off the map and just like it's Risk or something, right? The board game. This is nuts.
Yep. Just like poking that North American Union. Hey, don't you want it? Don't you want it? You love it. You want a North American Union that's run by, the U.S. and Israeli military war beast, right? Everybody's emailing their senator and congressman saying how much they want that. Yeah, I'd like, Mr. Senator, I'm going to maybe, I'll email Ted Cruz and just be like, hey, love the NDAA. Great job, man. That's awesome. Yeah, let's fuse our military and all our illegally stolen data with a foreign country, genocidal foreign country. That sounds great. Let's do that.
This might be one of the, maybe they came up with this idea talking to their little special military AI LLM that they're like, so, maybe Pete Heggs Hegs, what you call him, Keg's breath. Maybe Pete woke up one day and he was like, "Dear military AI, what's a good idea?" And he's like, "You should merge the two militaries together permanently." And
Yeah.
it's like, but you think you're talking to the AI, but behind the scenes on a keyboard, it's really Netanyahu. I'm just kidding.
Peter Thiel himself sitting there.
Yeah, right. It's Alex Karp, run.
It's Elon Musk catfishing you as Grok.
No, that's funny.
Yeah. We had a rocket blow up this week. An explosion like this can emit CO2 equivalent to hundreds or thousands of diesel cars circulating for an entire year. While capitalists pollute for fun, as if there were no tomorrow, you're asked to make an effort to save the planet, says Daniel Mayakovsky, and he reposted this video, Spaceflight Now. What is this? About 3 days ago, Jeff Bezos had one of his toys blow up on the launch pad. Let's take a look. Here we go. Oh, you're going to go to space. Wait, that's a lot of fire. Oh, oops. Uh-oh. I don't think any humans were aboard that Ruckus, but
Hope not.
quite the fireball.
Well, actually, chances are, I mean, because the world is so sci-fi anyways, what we just witnessed was actually a time travel transportation, and the explosion is to cover what really happened, and so you don't see the portal that the ship really snuck through. To write them. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, how ridiculous. And a great point, because, yeah, 4th of July here in America is coming up right around the corner. Summertime, people like to go out and barbecue, but we always get reprimanded constantly about how bad that is, A, for our bodies, allegedly. I don't believe that for a second, but how bad that is for the environment. Don't you know? Your carbon credit scores are going to be impacted by that. But then when these jerks, the billionaire jerks, the space jerks, as I call them, go blow up their rockets, and even if they blow up or not, when they take off in space and they're doing all their stuff, and God only knows what it's doing to space. Who knows very much about outer space? None of us, including NASA, based on the videos that I've seen. They may not have actually ever gone there, ever. But anyways, that's a subject for another day. But I mean, they will go ahead and just do all this stuff, and then they will never, ever have that impact their social credit score. In fact, what they'll probably do is they'll probably pass it down to everybody else. So if you happen to own stock in, say, Amazon, that's what's going to happen. So every time an Amazon rocket explodes, if you own stock in Amazon, have social credit points deducted from your universal basic income so that you can't buy your Netflix or your new iPhone this week, you know?
Yeah. That sounds like a major bummer right there. So you space jerks, stop blowing up stuff and charging us for it. You know, stop telling us we can't grill some cow up on 4th of July. Ruckus, this one couldn't help but notice this one this week, and we discussed this on Boiler Room a little bit. The FBI seized $40 million in gold, cash, and watches from ex-CIA official. I am just so not surprised about that one. Just to do a headline and byline level assessment here. The one-time employee allegedly diverted valuables he had requested for a work assignment. What kind of work assignment are you doing where you got a $40 million per diem in gold bars and watches? I'm so curious what this gig is.
I know all these other former CIA people who just do these little podcasts, they're obviously doing something wrong, right?
Right? Larry Johnson, what's up? Where's the 40 million bucks?
How many gold bars has Larry got? Just kidding. We don't want to know. If you got any, don't tell us.
Don't get yourself in trouble, man. Jeez.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild, though. That's I could only guess. It might be something that we would normally see in like a movie or a television series or read inside of a book.
Right?
It might make a wonderful Netflix series one day based on a true story, starring probably somebody who's been transgendered and is the wrong nationality for the character that they're playing. But anyways, you know how that goes.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, a serious question here. Like, so this guy's name is David Rush. There was a warrant served at his residence in Virginia. It was carried out last Monday. But not a whole lot of details here. He's been charged with defrauding the U.S. government, according to the court records. They allege that he misled his employer, again, the Central Intelligence Agency. Is that an employer you want to mislead?
The dude's got cojones.
Yeah, definitely. We'll give him that. So yeah, length of service, United States Navy, trained military pilot, academic background. You know what I mean? This is a CIA cat. So and they're saying it's a former senior CIA official. So senior CIA officials, is it normal for you to be trucking around $40 million in gold bars, cash, and watches? And to the Central Intelligence Agency, is it easy for your senior officials to defraud you like this? I mean, what was the mission? Can we hear more? I would like to see the docu-series actually. I want to know like what required that, uh, how you're handed that, and how it disappears into, the trunk of your Corvette in the garage or wherever it is. I have so many questions, but
Well, I'm not sure how discovery works when it involves these types of organizations, sir. We may never know, literally.
Israel will know, right?
Oh,
Their
well, that's good.
military
Well,
will
because they'll
know.
have access to the data. That's right.
Yeah,
Good for them.
right. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
I'm
then
guessing.
maybe Haaretz or somebody like that will do an explosive report on the back page 5 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We will find out about some of these things. Some of these predictions we say in slight jest, but I guarantee you, in 10 years from now,
It might be tied to whatever was going down in Mexico recently. Yeah, just saying.
mhm. Yep. All the dirt will come out in the laundry eventually. Um, Back to Israel real quick here. I guess they are furious over being included on the UN sexual violence list. Israel furious over inclusion on UN sexual violence list. West Jerusalem has denounced the move as quote unquote blood libel and severed ties with UN chief Antonio Guterres. Huh. Look at that. Severing ties with the UN. Makes you wonder. This is kind of what we were talking about a minute ago. This country wants to sever ties with the UN. This country would probably like to see America pull out of NATO.
Well,
Right?
we're like sanctioning Francesca Albanese, the special rapporteur for because of the whole genocide reporting stuff. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
I don't know, man. Yeah, wild.
Yeah. So the United Nations added Israel to its list of parties accused of sexual violence in conflict zones. Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said on Thursday, denouncing the move as a political attack and accusing the organization of spreading blood libels. Okay. Let's take a quick look at this clip here also. See what they have to say.
The decision to blacklist Israel and accuse us of using sexual violence as a weapon of war is an outrageous decision. The Secretary General and his team continue to spread lies against Israel. To put us and Hamas terrorists on the same list, that's unacceptable. We are a strong democracy. We invited the representatives of the UN to come to Israel to check those ridiculous allegations. They chose not to come. They chose to continue with the campaign against Israel. We saw the lies in the New York Times, and now we see another lie coming from the UN. We are done with this Secretary General.
Okay, so according to them, it's all just lies. There's no there, man. Just lies. Lies.
Sure. Why does that guy sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or was I tripping?
I was biting my tongue to not say the same thing.
Anyway, screw your freedom. Yeah, no, anyway.
Oh, wait, that's 6
Same kind of
years ago.
spirit.
Yeah, that one sticks, doesn't it? I'll be back has kind of been replaced with screw your freedom.
So sad.
Yeah. So that's gone on, and I find that very interesting, especially considering all the reporting and evidence supporting that. I'm sure we know what that trip to Israel would have looked like for those UN people, and I'm sure we know why they didn't go. Should we talk about the narcissism factor, Ruckus?
Narcissism. What does that
Yes.
have to do with anything?
Well, that guy, the oranger one there with the hair helmet, apparently he thinks it's important to get rid of our pennies as we're all scraping for pennies here in the United States so we can afford our $20 tuna sandwiches. Gonna get rid of those, but we're gonna add a $250 bill with his face on it.
Dr. Besson. Yep. How long until we see your signature next to President Trump's face on a $250 bill?
Well, again, as Treasury Secretary, I have two mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." So right now, there is proposed legislation that in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person, Donald J. Trump, could be on a $250 bill. So it's all in the hands of the, it's all up on Capitol Hill. So at Treasury, we prepare things in advance. So we have prepared in advance that if the legislation is passed, but we will stick to the law.
So there you go.
Is that what they're preparing for, or are they preparing for him to qualify the other way? If you know what I mean.
Right. You're gonna not get
I'm not
the
even
ear.
nobody's
going
to say it. We're just, I mean, things happen. We're only human. We're mortal.
The what if factor, it's not like the
God
government
only
doesn't
knows.
think
According
about
to
these
them,
things.
certainly a whole bunch of handfuls of different lunatics have tried, haven't they? Multiple times, which is why we need the ballroom, everybody.
Right. So who wants a $250 bill is my big question. Do you want to have to buy things often that are below $294 and above $100 with cash? I don't know, man. It's like that sounds like a novelty to me. That sounds
It's a collector's item. I myself, I'm obsessed with the bicentennial money that they made for the 200th celebration because I was born in 1976. So I'm a bicentennial baby. And I like the paper money that they did. It was cool. They got the full-on signing of the Declaration of Independence on the back. And I think it's Jefferson on the front, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, they made some coins too and neat stuff like that. And interestingly enough, they did some fun stuff with all the coins except the penny back then. So, and now there's no penny whatsoever. So that's cool. But then instead, now we have a $250 bill, which, as I mentioned, I think on Boiler Room will probably get you about $50 worth of stuff. And I'm not talking about like 50 years ago. I'm talking like just 5-10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So the $250 bill is the new 50 or the new 20.
Adjusted for inflation for a country that's $42 trillion in debt in 2026.
Man, and I wish I was kidding, but I mean, I've seen these reports where they compare how much you could get, like how much you can fill your shopping cart with for $100 worth of at the grocery store compared to whatever, pick your 10 years ago. It's shocking. It's shocking. You used to be able to you get a whole cart full of a bunch of bags for $100 now. It's like, yeah, I got maybe like 1.5 bag. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely bananas, and so many people having them delivered now. That adds a whole nother layer of adjustable dynamic overhead.
Although I just learned apparently if you have it delivered by drone, it's free.
Oh, hey, okay.
Yeah,
so
not the delivery is free. So, but I can't imagine they wouldn't want to offer that to try to encourage more people to use such a technocratic dystopian technology, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we are approaching the end point of the show today here, but I do want to mention, Ruckus, that it looks like Russia is ramping up some action in Kiev. So stand by for more news on that. There have been evacuation signals. There have been some decisions. They have a new summer timeline. So I don't know. It's looking like we might see some increased action in Ukraine. So what to say about that other than stand by? We'll probably be hearing more about that and talking more about that here on Sunday Wire in the coming weeks.
Well, that's what I love about the possibility for World War III. Not only are there multiple possible flashpoints, sometimes you get them all at once. Yay!
Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that
Like
fantastic?
how long before the Taiwan thing drops? I mean, speaking of all this technology in the data centers, the other elephant in the room are those chips. Yeah,
Yes. Yes,
just
absolutely.
something to think about.
Yeah, a little supply chain in the tech era. That's going to be very interesting.
Another thing to think about real quick, just I'll mention it in passing here, because we know the way Israel likes to do is they're doing they haven't even you haven't even finished your Gaza yet, and they're already like halfway done with what's next after Lebanon. I've been seeing some stuff to say, oh well, of course Turkey, maybe Egypt. Oh, okay, now Egypt, that's going to get really quite awkward now, isn't it, Hesher? Because we have a good friend and colleague who hails from that area originally. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are, especially Turkey, these are partner countries. These are countries that, we're traditionally are supposed to have decent relations with. And wouldn't that be yet another brick in the wall there for, oh, we got to leave NATO. We got to leave NATO so that the
That could get awkward, huh? Right?
yeah, so that the war beast back there can, be completely unleashed.
I think we're onto something here.
Free the war beast of the UN, free the war beast of NATO, and boom, all of a sudden, are we part of a war with Turkey? Are we part of a war? You know what I mean? Are we going to just help Israel complete the Greater Israel Project? Is that what this is? Because it's
I sure hope
starting to
not.
look that way.
I hope not.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. All right, we're going to wind it down here. I would like to remind everybody to visit alternatecurrentradio.com. We got a new boiler room up there. It's called the Technocratic Labyrinth, and we recorded that on Friday night, the 29th of this month. Man, we're getting closer to official summertime here. But yeah, you can access the video, the audio, overview, sources, hybrid transcript, all that good stuff at alternatecurrentradio.com. Also, you can find everything going on over there on the main page. So give us a visit. We would love it. There's today's episode of Sunday Wire already up there. There's your most recent boiler room. And of course, you've got Ruckus on Weaponized News, most recent appearance there up in that main slider. Last week's Sunday Wire, basically all the stuff, all the things. We got Mystical American Patriot Society, the Odd Man Out podcast, Sunday Wire, Boiler Room, all kind of stuff going on over there. So head on over there. There's also an invite to our Discord. Big shout out to our Discord viewers, members, and listeners. There we go. One of you has put a great $250 bill submission in there. It's got Donald Trump and Jeff Epstein on it. There you go. That's you should submit that to the Scott Bessent and the U.S. Treasury Department. Maybe they'll go for it. It might be more appropriate this time of year. But yeah, Ruckus, what about you, man? Anything you want to throw out before we close out this week's Sunday Wire?
No. Instead, I might want to throw up. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
But thanks for having me, and thanks to all of the listeners and the commentators. Sorry, we're not going to spend a lot of time highlighting the comments today. We are all in a bit of a pressing rush, if I'm not mistaken, myself in particular. So thanks again for having me. I'll leave everybody, as I often do, with the wise words of the, hey, maybe we should put Bill Cooper's face on the $250 bill. How about that? Read everything, listen to everybody. Don't believe anything unless you can prove it for yourself using your own research. It's pretty simple. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Ruckus. There he goes. And, as we close out this week's program, it's worth remembering that history rarely changes all at once. Most of the time, the biggest transformations don't arrive with a declaration, a ceremony, or even a headline. They arrive quietly, buried in legislation, hidden in omnibus bureaucratic language and presented as little more than routine administrative housekeeping. The question we explore today isn't really about Israel, it isn't really about Iran, and it isn't even about one particular bill moving through Congress. The larger question is about sovereignty, accountability, and who ultimately directs the future of a nation. Because in this particular nation, that's supposed to be we the people. For generations, Americans were taught that government derives its legitimacy from the consent of the governed, that elected officials are accountable to the people. How long has it been since we felt that way? The military power exists to defend the nation and its citizens, right? Think Department of Defense, not Department of War. And that decisions of war and peace deserve the highest level of public scrutiny. That's what we're doing right here today. Whether you support or oppose the proposals discussed today, every citizen should be able to agree on one thing. Decisions with profound consequences for future generations should never take place in the shadows. The public deserves transparency. The public deserves debate. And the public deserves the opportunity to understand what is being done in its name. As we've seen time and again, from Iraq to Afghanistan, from surveillance programs to emergency powers, the most important question is often not what government is doing today, but what precedent is being established for tomorrow, the next day, the next year. Because once new systems of power are created, they rarely disappear. That's the foot in the door we're talking about today. Those powers expand, they evolve, and often become permanent. And that is why vigilance remains the responsibility of every free citizen. So thank you to Patrick Henningsen. Thank you to Adam Ruckus Clark, and to you for watching and listening around the world. So stay informed, stay skeptical, question everything. We'll see you next time on the Sunday Wire. Patrick Henningsen will be back with us, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a great week. This is Bryan McClain for Alternate Current Radio and 21st Century Wire. We'll see you next time. All the best.
Complications we'll soon see. Hey!
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time.
And thanks for bombs that wreck Gaza one more time. For helping me pin it on Iran, that's the crime. Let me spin you a tale, talk you in its bedtime.
Our world is in upheaval.
We brand our foes as evil, it's our goal to spell. Labels ready-made, we wield them well. Terrorists, anti-Semites, animals all on sale. Every option laid out, no detail is too frail. Let me share my plan, it's all about me. Survival's the goal, friends, just let me be. Uncle Sam sends dollars, bombs, arms, endlessly. Through twisted lenses, he pretends to see clearly. I could quote the Bible, but that's just for show. It's occupation versus civilization, as you know. Accusations by confession, the truth's on a low. Decades of incarceration, yet you clap for the show.
We win, they lose.
I can't breathe anymore, this noose is too tight. Just not as I blame in the dead of the night. We're criminals in truth, but that's our plight. Gentlemen in the headlines, painted in white.
Suddenly, heaven turned into hell.
We raised the homes, gave the order to shell. Bomb schools, mosque, hotels, there's more to tell. Not just that, hospitals fell as well. Thank you, madams and sirs, for funding this hell.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel.
Think this ain't real, it's all colonial play. Joe helps me claim defense in the broad daylight. Good man he is, though his words sway, supporting me, even when his talk's not right. They've killed with rage, Arab women, kids in their prime. Gaza's an open-air cage, living on borrowed time. More deaths on the way, they've sworn the crime. So we pin badges of courage in this bloody rhyme. For the God's green earth, am I ranting about? I'll take you on a ride, no doubt. I can't lie about genocide, that's out. Humanity's priceless, funds are what it's about. They call it occupation, a regime of hate. A racist dream built on a bloodthirsty state. Causing death, grief and pain at every gate. Yet I stand here and you still wait. And what I'm doing, I stand up in the skies, playing the victim, that's my prize. But ouch, they're burning me in effigy skies.
And I want to say thank you, America.
I love you and your hamburgers, that's no bluff. My soldiers loved you as pampers, just enough. No more Octobers, but we had our stuff. And we were the symbol of heroic grace. Not apartheid or racist in any place. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, no trace. From north to south, where the embrace face.
They call Israel a colonialist state.
I think I'm kidding, grab the Times, take a read. Ask the White House, they're trying to lead, but they need more training to follow my creed.
That Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Think of Iran, my arms go weak, my mouth goes sour. Let's find a new land to devour. Their might threatens our tower, hour by hour. Victory's near, but is it on my side? Defeating the enemies where I can find, but that's not in me. So prayers I need, and tax dollars, so my plans can proceed. We aim to make Gaza unlivable, our Nobel Prize. Then find a new place to colonize. Take the world back from the infidel guys. Make this region a 5-star paradise. Thank you, my lies have reached their demise.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza.
Lies have reached their demise.